Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we are going to be discussing the power of awareness. Okay, let's dive in. So, when you think of awareness, right? Power of awareness. You want to think of the syntax of questions within which they are asked, right? When you ask a question, it frames a parameter of vibration to attract answers, right? So when you hold questions within that kind of V shape, you frame the ability of, you call it the universe, call it God, call it source, bringing you answers through those questions, right? So when you think of the power of awareness, power implies the ability to cause effects, okay? Awareness is essentially being, you could call it enlightened. You could call it being, when you are aware of something, you flip on a light switch and you're able to see clarity. So awareness has a clarity factor to it, right? Oh my God, I didn't know this was hurting me. I was completely unaware, right? So when you're unaware of things, you don't know that they're happening, but they're causing things, right? So when people wake up, they become more aware. They have more gnosis or knowledge of what the reality is comprised of, right? So the power of awareness is really placing causation of effects in what you are aware of, right? So when you think of dimensional spacing, okay, dimensional spacing is just fancy words for describing the different aspects of reality. So if you have fifth, fourth, and third dimensional spacing, right? Fifth dimensional spacing is pure awareness. You're just aware, right? Now, that awareness gets trained on a fourth dimensional reality, which is imagination, thoughts, and emotion. Internal reality. You call fourth dimensional reality internal reality. If you've ever played the game Fortnite, when you're building your structures, before you build your structures, there's a blue holographic version of the structure, and then you press A and it physicalizes your structure, okay? Think of fourth dimensional reality as that blueprint reality. It's a malleable reality where you can change stuff on the fly, but it's not yet physicalized, right? So when you physicalize something, what do you have to do? You have to break it apart, and then you have to put a new blueprint, and then you have to re-physicalize it, right? Third dimensional is that already physicalized fourth dimensional reality, okay? So when you are focusing awareness, what you want to understand is that if you're in that fifth dimensional I amness, you call it your I am. You could call that in scriptural terms Isaac, right? The father is blind, but he gives the birthright, right? The father can give the birthright to either Jacob, the supplanter, which is the metaphysical fourth dimensional imaginative reality of wanted, versus he can give it to Esau, which is the external tactile. They call him Harry in the story because he's tactile. Your five senses can see, smell, taste, and touch, and see that he's bringing home the meat. He's feeding your five senses, right? You can use Isaac, your fifth dimensional reality, to either focus on a fourth dimensional reality or an already externalized third dimensional reality, okay? So what happens is power of awareness comes from, if your reality is comprised of your entire awareness being externalized on a fourth dimensional reality, what's happening is your awareness is glued to your external world in a way that makes you get stuck, right? It's essentially, you think of a prison cell, right? All you can see are prison walls, right? So when you have only externalized consciousness in things that are only in the world of effects, you're essentially in a hell realm or a dead realm because you don't have the creative genesis to create new things, right? So you're just dealing with this wasteland of already created stuff. So that's why you're trying to go steal things or like get, other people's stuff because there's shortage. There's no way to create new stuff, right? So when you have power of awareness, you understand dimensional spacing, right? You see something like a bank balance and it isn't the way you want it to be. Instead of just giving that the birthright with your fifth dimensional reality and going, oh, this is the only reality. I got to deal with this now, so I got to go do a bunch of external things to fix this. You understand that there's a blueprint reality within which you can overlay that old reality and allow that old reality to die and physicalize that new blueprint reality. Does that kind of make sense? So the power of awareness is a relocation of your central power system. Because if everything is outside of you, oh my God, in order to get fit, I have to go to the gym, I have to eat healthy, I have to get a trainer, but I don't have enough money for a trainer, so now I have to go get money. You're creating gods out of all these things because you're putting yourself down here and saying, well, I need to get this, and this, and coordinate this, and this, and then this can happen. And you're thinking in linearity, which is saying that you can't have what you want now because these barriers exist, but you're creating the barriers through your distancing of your non-inhabitancy of the fulfillment state of already being that you want what you want to be. So you're pushing everything out and you're creating a hell realm because you're always chasing, but you can never get to where you want to go. So the power of awareness is really about focusing and thinking, right? And what really helps with focusing your awareness is understanding fourth dimensional thinking. Fourth dimensional thinking, in contrast to its counterpart, third dimensional or linear thinking, is thinking as if you have something now, right? But that only makes sense if you understand things like law of assumption, if you understand reality creation, how thoughts turn into things, if you understand personal magnetism through laws of attraction, laws of vibration, if you understand law of reversibility, how holding a feeling state can have its physicalized counterpart manifest, and you understand manifestation, which is unseen to seen, and you're able to focus your awareness as if you have things now, understanding that the external, in a sense, is a mirror, right? Go back to law of reversibility, right? Everything is produced from a state of consciousness, right? The same way that a architect thinks of a house, he thinks of the house, sees it already done, goes, this is what we're doing, and then the universe brings all of the different pieces together, highlighting his awareness and pathways and avenues to guide him there. In the same way that if you are driving a car and you look at the turn, your autonomic motor muscle system will work to coordinate the vehicle and turn the car to go where you're focusing, right? But if you are focusing in a way that is not what you want, then you have the whole autonomic system moving in coercion towards an unwanted reality, essentially meaning that you're driving, but you're not focused on the endpoint that you want to be on. So when you understand the power of awareness, what you're doing is you're working at the highest leverage point in that fourth and fifth dimensional reality. And just to reiterate, that fifth dimensional reality is your I amness, right? So you're always you, you're always in identity, you're always aware, you're always thinking, you're always entertaining thoughts, you're always doing all these things, right? So you are essentially, in essence, driving your car. But when you have external things that have glued your awareness and you forget that your internal imaginative acts externalize themselves, you're stuck. So you have to retract your attention. You have to pull your power back, right? It's like if you're an empire, right? Like what happened to the Roman Empire? They overextended themselves. They're worried about all these proxy wars and things in the far territories. They didn't manage their central system, so the whole thing collapsed. That's how you have a reality collapse, right? So when you forget that you're the source, right? People call, God source or, creator source. You forget that you're the source of your own personalized reality through your ability to think and focus, which is predicated on placing awareness, right? So if I'm thinking and I'm focusing consciously, it means that I'm aware of what I'm thinking and focusing on. So if I'm thinking and focusing, I want to think and focus at the highest leverage point. What does leverage mean? Leverage is like, if I want to lift a big rock, I can go and lift the rock, or I can put a pulley system to where it leverages at a fulcrum and I pull and I don't have to use as much force because the leverage is bearing the weight of the force, right? So when I'm creating a reality, I can either go and do everything manually or I can think a thought as if I already have it, stay persistent in that, and let the reality do the heavy lifting of coordinating all the things together. That's in essence what mentalism is about, right? So when you focus your awareness as if you have something now, you are oscillating at a frequency of what I would call a fulfillment reality, right? You're saying, I have this now. You have an electromagnetic field. Magnetic. She's so magnetic. Oh my God. I want to be close to her. Why are they like that? Because there's quite literally a toroidal magnetic field around your body. So when you program that field as if you have what you want, This is law of attraction lexicon. You're always meeting up with what is your point of attraction, right? So you're always meeting with people. You're having places that you're going to. You're having circumstances unfold. You're having events that you are a co-creator in. How are you syncing with those things? Well, it's due to your level of frequency, right? Nothing is random in the sense that you're always running into things that are of the same frequency. It's why depressed people see depressed things all day and happy people see happy things all day. So you have control over creating that inner frequency, that inner domain, that choice of state that you want to inhabit as if you have it now, or you can focus your awareness on a fourth dimensional reality that has implications that you don't have what you want, which will externalize itself, right? So anytime you have something external that's not the way you want it to, it's because your internal fourth and fifth dimension are misaligned, right? So the biggest mistake you can make is to try to go fix this, because if this is still effed up, you're going to chronically be in a pattern of vibration that's going to keep bringing those things to you. So you have to keep overcoming them externally. It's going to wear you down. So by understanding your leverage point, you go, I am, right? What am I focused on? I am so happy and grateful now that this is the way I want it. And you persist in that internal domain. This external world will try to impress itself upon you, but you have to have the internal fortitude to say, no, I am this. And you deny your external senses. You persist in your wish fulfilled through an imaginative act by placing your awareness on a wanted reality. And then you watch the reality begin to conform around you, which puts you in the power position instead of being somebody who's just responding to the different things of life. So I know you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave comments of different videos you like made in the future. Additionally, the link tree has my protocols, the modern metaphysics protocol, which is your basic protocol for mastering metaphysics at a very high level. 6 hours of coaching with me included in that. You have the Spartan 1 human optimization protocol, which is a badass 12-week full life optimization overhaul, focusing heavily on your physical body, getting it up to par, getting mental clarity, reducing biological age, healing everything. It's badass. It's my life's work incorporated into that protocol. And that comes with 12 coaching calls, 12 hours of coaching. And then you have all of your single stuff if you guys just want to talk to me for an hour or do some coaching or an email or something like that below. The most important thing I have to say today is go conquer. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.